So I want people to think about, I think it was the year 1937. Orson Welles, no relation to H.G. Wells, broadcast H.G. Wells, no relation to Orson Welles, War of the Worlds over the air to an audience that probably wasn't that much used to a dramatized radio that took itself so seriously. And Wells broadcast the thing as if it were a news event happening. People who didn't hear the beginning of the broadcast and didn't have like a TV guide or the internet thought it was really happening and didn't question the rationality of it and had a mass freaking panic. So when I started hearing about this drone nonsense, at first I was like, oh, there's something weird going on. Then I realized, no, wait a minute. All these media outlets are picking it up and they're puffing it up and they're amplifying the hysteria. And then I started hearing that, and I can't remember, was it the governor of Massachusetts, somebody, Larry Hogan, I think, had to have it pointed out to him that what he thought were drones was the constellation Orion. And that was when I realized, okay, these are people who do not typically look up at the sky and have no idea what they're looking at and are easily impressed. And also the grifters and the con artists and the influencers who want to take advantage of them. And I know I was accused by one of these people after I repeatedly mocked his claims that I hadn't done the work. So I wanted to do this video in front of my 10-inch Dobsonian telescope, which I have owned a telescope my entire life since I was about 23 years old and Shoemaker Levy 9 was getting ready to hit Jupiter. I spent 300 hours before the strike sitting out in the dark in front of my telescope lens, observing Jupiter so that I would get used to catching it, because you have to practice doing this when you're doing it with your own two eyes. The atmosphere wobbles. The planet is tiny. It's like 1 billion miles away. It's 500 million miles away. And it's, it takes some skill. And I was going to do it old school. I was going to do it like Galileo did. I was going to draw it so that I could see. And I wish I had those drawings still. They've been lost to time, but I remember being very proud of the drawings that I did of the enormous dark clouds that formed on Jupiter's surface as the comet pounded it, all 22 fragments. And so when I was in one of these threads mocking this guy and saying, you're not providing proof, Occam's razor is very clearly cutting your entire theory to ribbons, because the sky is full of airplanes, legally licensed FAA tracked airplanes. And the sky is also full of astronomical things that most people can't identify, especially in this day and age when you only see a few bright stars. And the fact that an elected official mistook the constellation of Orion for a cluster of drones was all I needed to go, this is just horseshit. This is like the Orson Welles War of the Worlds broadcast horseshit. The media is chuffing it up. They're amplifying it. They're making it the lead story, and other people are coming out of the woodwork to go, wait, I saw one too! And it's all just a bunch of self-important bullshit. I've encountered, and it's not just the quality of the evidence, which is nil, or the hysteria. It's the tone that I get out of these people. I've encountered this before. And in fact, taking this thing out in front of my own house a few years back, I had a neighbor come out and start whispering frantically in my ear about some freaking hidden planet, Nibiru, I think she said. And I couldn't, I mean, she was literally a drug addict, so I could not get to the bottom of whatever it was she was on about. But what I did notice was I was standing here in front of, again, this telescope that's almost as tall as I am. And I have some pretty nice eyepieces that go with it. I kind of made a point of having some nice stuff because astronomy is, one of the most important things in my life. And that woman would not look at the real planet in front of us. She would not look through the telescope because the reality did not interest her. It was the self-important, everybody look at and listen to me because I know a secret you don't. And when I encounter that kind of tone from people, I immediately start doubting that they know what the fuck they're talking about at all. But this guy accused me of not doing the work. And I was like, oh, honey, I've spent hundreds of hours, probably thousands of hours, outside, under the stars, looking through telescopes. I have used this telescope to project 2 eclipses onto a piece of paper so that we could watch them safely. I watched the transit of Venus, the only one. There were 2, and I only got to see one of them, and no one alive will see another one because it won't happen for almost 100 years now. And I'm very used to looking at the sky and understanding what's going on over my head. And the main thing I noticed was that this self-important conspiracy whispering person, I went and clicked on the thumbnail because, we're on YouTube here and we've all got a channel. If you're commenting, you got a channel. And I would expect if they had done the work or knew F all about what they were talking about, they would have posted it. And they didn't. And they kept saying, oh, YouTube won't allow me to. And I was like, yeah, right. Whatever. And I really wish, especially in light of what just happened down at the South Pole with the flat earther community being delightfully humiliated by a very well planned out test. I really think it's time for people to stop giving this kind of self-important, whispery conspiracy theory nonsense any latitude. This kind of stuff is spread by narcissistic people who want everything to be about them. They won't provide evidence. They won't acknowledge evidence. They won't acknowledge the logic. They will not use their brain at all. And I really wish our media would stop giving these people the rope with which to hang us all. Because while we're worrying about this, there are serious things happening in this country that the media should be talking about, but they're too scared to. Instead, they'd rather talk about this blithering nonsense. And it's offensive. And it's a sign of a decaying civilization.